Your Town Matters is funded by the Government of Canada through the Local Journalism Initiative and supported by Cactus Media, Canada's independent community television association.
I'm Vicki Hogarth, and welcome to a very special year in review, Your Town Matters, with the Mayor of St. Andrews, Brad Henderson. Thanks so much for being here today, Brad.
Thanks for having us. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. It's been quite a year in our community. As we're filming this, we're living through yet another major storm and another natural disaster, I guess you could call it. Just give us a look back on some of the events of the year that have had the most impact. We've had Hurricane Lee, fire in the summer. You can pick where you start with that.
Yeah, although it is, the Christmas holidays, it kind of feels like it's Groundhog Day a little bit, in the sense that you and I have kind of sat here before on a couple occasions talking about events that are impacting our community. And, in this last year of being on council, there's been more events that are, I guess you could say, one-off variable, whether it be weather or fire. We could talk about those that have impacted our community than my previous, 6 years combined on council. So, despite the fact that this winter we've already had 3 significant storms that have knocked down trees, like between the fall and the winter, the forest fire that obviously really impacted our community. As much as those have been challenging times, it also really speaks to the heart of our community and how resilient of an area and a region that we are, and the good of when we all pull together. Like, there is so many one-offs, as we know, from the forest fire, obviously talking about people opening up their businesses for people to stay for free, neighbor helping neighbor, to even this last storm where there's a couple individuals in our community driving generators around to plug it into people's freezers and fridges for an hour just so they didn't lose their turkey dinner or whatever it is for the holidays. I think despite how they're very challenging times, and there's people at the time of this filming still without power, and here we are multiple days, and it could be still a few more, there's a lot of positives that could be taken out of it. But one thing's for sure is we've got to prepare for these events to happen, unfortunately, more frequently in the future.
Mm-hmm. And this all happened under amalgamation, too, where you have Bayside and Shamcook in the town of St. Andrews. How have you handled amalgamation and growing as a council, and also covering such a wider area?
So I know when I ran for council, I said I didn't want to be internally focused and talk about bylaws and everything like that. I really wanted to focus on the big issues, housing obviously being a big one. But through this reform process, I can honestly say that some people were pushing for it to happen, some weren't. I was a little indifferent. It wasn't a priority for me. But the early stages of reform had me extremely concerned. I thought that there wasn't enough consultation done. I thought that a lot of the members of the public didn't know what was really happening. And I was really questioning how it was all going to work out. And I'm not going to say that things are 100% perfect, but I will say it's gone a lot smoother integrating Shamcook and Bayside into our community. When I say that, I'm just talking from a municipal government standpoint. Shamcook Bayside has always been part of St. Andrews in my mind. You and I have talked about this before. Growing up, if someone was in Shamcook, I considered myself from the same community as they were. I didn't think that they were a different community. So really, it's more from a government and a taxation standpoint, to me, is what reform is. But we added 3 councillors this year to our existing 6 councillors for a very large town council. But the new councillors have done such a fantastic job fitting in, speaking about things that impact Shamcook Bayside, and even the budget process was the thing that I was the most concerned about. I'm not saying that, again, we figured it all out, but we actually not only passed a budget, But we actually think we know where the end game of reform is from a taxation standpoint to say that this is where we want to get to. And I have no problem communicating that, is the original projections by the province of New Brunswick would actually have the rural areas paying a higher tax rate, mill rate, than the old municipality of St. Andrews. And I had a hard time digesting that because you have less services in Shamcook Bayside. Why would you be paying more money, more higher tax rate for less services? But when you dissect the numbers, the rural areas pay double for policing, almost, out of their assessment. They pay double for the roads. 41 cents goes to provincial government. The old St. Andrews, we pay about 20 cents. And then garbage waste collection, they pay almost double per household on their tax base. So all that extra contracts that they had makes it higher. So where we've come to the common ground is we want to get the mill rates the same. So St. Andrews and Shamcook Bayside will all have the same mill rate. I don't know how many years it'll take to get there, but that is the end game. So that way, if there's an increased cost in our community, we're not arguing who should pay for it. It impacts us all. We all share the cost. And if there's a savings, we all share the savings. So I think that's the best way to stop this neighbor versus neighbor that you're seeing across the municipality. And the last thing I'll say on that is there's a lot of municipalities out there struggling. There's a lot of CAOs, so town managers, on leave. There's a lot of turmoil in the province right now, but I'm so proud that the way that this council's been able to come together. We've had challenges, just like everyone, but for the most part, it's been a very successful transition, and I really hope to that positive collaboration in 2024.
Now, you mentioned one of the things you did want to take on as mayor is housing, and this council has been extremely proactive in affordable housing especially. Can you talk a little bit about some of the initiatives that are well underway right now to bring more affordable housing to the area?
Yeah, so literally in the middle of the storm, we actually have an affordable apartment building actually pouring the first floor concrete today. So that'll speak to the fact that things are happening. I was fortunate enough at the Union of Municipalities meetings to be able to present actually as a best practice sharing thing on how a small rural community was able to actually get some development underway. There's a lot of people talking about housing across this province, but the reality is there's not a lot happening. And we've owned our actions. And when I say that, we have actually taken tax dollars and made an incentive for private developers to develop in our community. And we own it. We 100% own it, but we're not pointing at other levels of government saying, you've got to do something, we've got to do something. We're doing it. And because we worked with developers, 3 specific projects in particular in this community, which 2 of them are well underway where people are actually living there, and the third one being the affordable apartment, those wouldn't have happened if the municipality never changed their stance. So we've addressed half of our housing problem, and the other half we're going to address the new year. And the last thing I'm putting it all out. I want people to know what's happening. The municipality has partnered with Housing Hub, which is a not-for-profit, and Housing Hub is going to be looking behind the New Brunswick Community College at the land, and not only are they going to be assessing the feasibility, but they're also going to help us get the funding. And I'm really hoping that this council actually, and it has to go through a process, there's no question, but is able to put another apartment building behind the community college to be a game changer as we try to get more and more students to come, learn the jobs we need, and then hopefully stay in our community. So a lot of exciting things. I could talk probably for the half-hour show on housing, but kudos to this town council. They all said that if they got in, they were going to do something about housing, and they've lived up to it. They've when you have a council that promises to do something, lives up on it. I know I'm their ambassador, but I'm really proud of them.
Wow, so it does make sense to have something by NBCC, especially with a large number of international students that want to come to this community year after year. Amazing.
It does. So if you look at what the future of New Brunswick was a few years ago, we talked about immigration being such an important aspect to what our population needs. Why not bring people into St. Andrews, train them for the jobs that we need, the skills, the trades, and then set them up for success. But right now, there's students coming here, not finding housing, and either transferring campuses or dropping out. And that's such a missed opportunity, not for St. Andrews, but for the entire region. We have a community engagement community from representation all across Charlotte County. The New Brunswick Community College is an asset to the entire region.
And we're seeing that across New Brunswick, that it seems to be younger people moving to this province, and St. Andrews is no different. That seems to be the case within our community as well.
It is, and if you look at some of the like people that we have, young families, they come for the New Brunswick Community College, they stay, they come to work at the Algonquin, they stay. That's our pipeline of getting young people. We have no challenge getting seniors to move, retire here, and that's great. Welcome. We want, but we also do need to note that our population went up about 14.8% the last census, and our schools are no busier. We need to make sure that we continue to get new youth in this community. And then, I don't want to get off topic, but Mervyn Hanselbacher with the town of St. Andrews, the recreational activities that we have going on, the glow skate, there's one coming up again. The fact that there's a canteen again that's operating, there's so much positive things for families to do. We need to be a community that people circle and say, this is where I want to raise my family. And that's where the first step is affordable and making sure people can actually afford to live in our community.
And speaking of Mervyn, he has made quite an impact to have a recreational manager. Even during the power outage, he had the Grinch movie playing in the theater downstairs. How has that changed the landscape of St. Andrews, especially with the locals? We think of St. Andrews a lot of times as a tourist destination, but he's really managed to make recreation among the locals stronger than it already was, and it already was quite strong.
That's such a good point. Like, you think of St. Andrews and the things we have to do. A lot of them probably were created for tourism, and then because we live here, we get to experience them and enjoy them. But you are right that I never thought of it that way. Primary thing of his job is to actually enhance the lives of people that live here and give them more recreational assets. And there's a common assumption about St. Andrews, and I know that you've heard it too, is it's a great place to be in the summer. There's nothing to do in the winter. I've never felt that way since I've moved here with my family. I'm biased, obviously, but the amount of activity he's doing, and the power outage is such a great example. There's no power anywhere in the entire region, and he puts together a movie, and there's kids all through, probably around your studio. There's kids here watching a movie when there's no power at home, and like, that's stuff that we just didn't have time for before. And he's been praised by the Bayside Community Hall. He's involved there, the things that he's getting going there. It's pretty exciting. And I'll say at first I wasn't sure if it was a position we necessarily needed. You're looking at economic development, you're looking at a lot of things. He, in his role, has done nothing but prove that it is a very worthwhile investment for the town of St. Andrews, and we were able to get funding for the first few years to help offset his salary. So, I think he's proven that it's a great position in our community.
And on that topic of tourism, I know you're involved with Kingsbury as well, but we've seen the tourism season. As you mentioned, we think of St. Andrews on an international level as being the summer destination, but we've really seen in the last year the shoulder season. Indulge was always strong, but it seemed even bigger this year. We've got Christmas by the Sea going, that the shoulder season has really at least made its way into spring, fall, winter quite well.
It's true. Indulge, obviously the province of New Brunswick themselves, Tourism New Brunswick got involved. They put the tent downtown. It allowed to do more. But the one thing that does jump out at me is the volunteer committee, and I know Mervyn's part of that, that did Christmas by the Sea. There was more activity than ever. It was creative. And I can tell you that it's probably still one of the best kept secrets of St. Andrews is December is a fantastic time of year. And Vicky, I know you're heavily involved in the Christmas activity. I got to give a shout, you, Katie, there's a whole committee that puts a lot of time. Those events just don't happen overnight, but it's a pretty magical time of year to live in St. Andrews. The lights took a little bit of a hit this week, but even the amount of work that Public Works puts into making our town literally sparkle, it's a magical place to live. And I know that when I first moved to the community, there wasn't a whole lot of Christmas activity going on. So volunteers like you bringing it up to the next level, it makes it special. I
will say, we sell St. Andrews as that Hallmark movie, but then it's weeks like this when it's a storm and you see your community have that heart that we talk about it having. And so in a weird way, as much as everything we did to make Christmas magical, for me, I feel it when it's a week like this and you see that our community truly lives up to the special aura that we put out.
It is. And I will stick with it that one of these days we are going to get a Hallmark movie in town.
Yeah,
I know some people are like, oh, a Hallmark movie? No, that's a checklist for me. We got to get that done.
Now, we've had some other infrastructure developments in town. On a recreational level, I'm talking about the outdoor gym, the dog park I went to for the first time this week. It's beautiful. Can you speak a little bit about those developments?
Yeah, so as part of our municipal plan is we wanted to preserve 8% of our community for green space. There is value in having green space that's wide open. If you get down by the point, that open area is great for picnicking, running with your dog, whatever, just sitting and watching the ocean. But also green space should be like different things that you can go and enjoy in your community. So obviously we started the last council, we put a new park downtown where people could sit and get great views of the ocean. But the fitness, outdoor fitness area, we had a grant from the province. It was going to expire. We were trying to get fitness, like a gym facility in our community. Couldn't find anyone to operate it. Went to RFP, or request for proposals, twice. No one submitted. So we said we're going to lose this money, and then the idea came, and they're in other communities, outdoor fitness park along the trail network to make it interesting while you're walking. So that was primarily paid for by other levels of government. And then the dog park, there was a group that worked together. They fundraised. They were coming up a little bit short on the original location. It was determined that it would be moved out by council to the water tower area. And I will say that I thought it'd be used, but I had no idea to the level in which it is. It looks great. There's a nice sign there now. I know that there's talk about having a little shelter area too out there. So they're continuing to develop it. But the more things that we have in our community gathering spots, the more vibrant your community is. And it's kind of neat when you're walking around, you come across a little park in a community. So yeah, I think there's more to come. I don't know what the next one will be, but developing green space and making this a enjoyable community is certainly a priority, it seems, of this council. I'm
going to switch gears very ungracefully right now and talk about policing. It's been obviously a topic across New Brunswick. The Minister of Public Safety said they're investing in 51 frontline officers for the coming year. Regional Service Commission 10, however, is just getting one new RCMP officer. I know many towns are debating, do we do something on a municipal level? So many question marks in the air. Looking at it from the St. Andrews perspective, what's council saying? What are you feeling going into 2024?
So policing is a really hot button item in our community. Myself posted a letter to social media to Chris Austin, basically talking about the confidence in policing in our area. I will say that there's been significant progress made. I'm not saying that it's exactly where we need it to be, but if you look and you follow the RCMP, the amount of arrests that are happening in our communities now, there were several announced this week. I think the RCMP is doing a better job communicating what they're doing, and whether it be perceived or actual real, it does appear that on the outside that more arrests are being made. There's more posts of warrants that people are wanted in our community. I'm all for that. If somebody is wanted in our community, let's make sure everybody knows who that is. I'm not talking about someone who jaywalks. I'm talking about prolific offenders. Let's make sure who we know there in our community and let them know that we're not going to stand for it. There is things as a municipal council and a region that I think we need to do to support the RCMP. The officers that are on our front line are doing the best they can. The reality is we're under-resourced in our region. The new officers that are coming across, I was really hoping that would be a needle mover, a game changer for policing. We're getting, as you said, one officer, and just for the public that doesn't know the RSC, that is Fundy Shores. That's pretty much La Pro area down through Eastern Charlotte, the St. George, Blacks Harbor Airways. You got Deer Island, Campobello, Graham and Ann, St. Andrew, St. Stephen, Macadam. I hope I'm not leaving anyone out. But you have all this area, and we got one new officer out of all that announcement. They looked at the amount of police officers to population. They call it cop to pop ratio. They said that ours is good. They're not taking into consideration the fact that we have islands that are not as accessible for police. They're not taking into consideration we have no mental health support services, very limited in our area. They're not taking into consideration that we don't even have a courthouse. So if you look at the amount of time our officers have to leave our region to do their jobs, our ratio should be the highest, in my opinion, and I think we need to lobby heavier for that. One thing that I really think that we need to get more vocal on, because it's tested, it's proven, is a mobile crisis unit. They are in other areas in New Brunswick, and to have that ability for an officer to get support on mental health, addiction services, versus drive two officers driving to St. John. I myself did a ride along, not in this community, but a number of years ago, and we had one call that was mental health related, and it took up 70% of the officer's shift. So we need more support here to move the needle. And I think my role, I've said I wasn't happy with policing. The local sergeants and the RCMP are trying to improve that. Now it's on really me and the other mayors and the other members of council to say we need more support for them to do their job better. So that's kind of for 2024, one of my goals is let's hold ourselves more accountable to get more vocal on resources we need to help our policing.
Another big 2024 project will be the wharf revitalization and Market Square. Can you talk a little bit about it? I know there are many consultation
You're making me anxious
sessions.
with all the stuff we got to do.
This is a big one. I know that the public was heavily engaged with the consultation sessions you did at the arena and in Bayside as well. What can we expect going? I know there were three main options. Five.
Yeah, five. I think in reality one wasn't an option,
right.
Which was kind of like
just repair.
I don't think that doesn't make sense in any way you look. Doing nothing's not an option, and that one was probably you'd lose the government funding, so it'd probably be the highest paid option just for a temporary repair. I don't think anyone could say that there was no opportunity for consultation. The truth is, when we get back in the new year, council very quickly is going to have to make a decision. We have to go out and start putting tenders out there for the work, and we need to, this fall, get by the tourist season, we need to proceed with whatever option it is and start getting underway. There's pros and cons with every option, from the length of project time to the length of what the option is to pricing, right? Like, there's probably going to be one of those council decisions where whatever you decide, there's going to be a percentage that said, no, I don't think you made the right decision. Either way, they have to make a decision. It's not going to be an easy one. It's a very important project because you're not just setting your community up for this term, you're talking the next 50 years, right? And the real risk for me is we need to figure out how we can help the tour boat operators, the pleasure boaters, and the commercial fisher industry, how we can help them not lose a season. Some options are quicker, but I think all of them are concerned, and even some of them I'd be concerned for 2 years. So we really need to find a solution on that, because I remember when the Algonquin was closed in town, the impacts it had on our local economy. I think you get rid of whale watching and some of these like fishing and things like that, it's going to have serious implications as well. It's kind of a little bit of a poster child of what we do in Singers by the Sea. You see the whale tail. So lots of work to be done, but very quickly the new year, like I'm talking the first regular meeting, it's going to be discussed, and I bet you the second regular meeting, it's going to be decided.
And you brought up the Algonquin. We have new owners of the Algonquin as well, so big changes in town. It seems to be positive. It sounds like they have a lot in the works for years ahead as well. They
do. I've had the opportunity to meet several times with them, and every indication that I've got is this is going to be a very positive new ownership group for the town of Sanders. No pun intended. They are going to be investing in the hotel. And one thing that jumped out at me is one of their first things that they did. It's something so simple, but they decided that the mattresses for their staff and their accommodation were not what they should be. They are investing in the accommodations. They fixed the roofs. They're putting their staff first. And I think on the outside, if you're looking at them, that's a good first check the box, is you got to take care of your people. And I'm really looking forward to it. There's enhanced services coming to be more of a year-round destination as well. And not a lot of people know that even in the, they call it the casino at the Algonquin, in the basement, there's actually a game room for kids now. And I don't think a lot of people know that right now.
That.
So they're looking to improve, but they've got probably some big announcements coming up, and I think they'll be as early as 2024 where they are going to be adding services. And they also have a background in real estate. So to say that they're not going to enter the housing game, I think that company might want to enter the housing game. So it's about finding, like I always say, the right opportunity where it doesn't alter the look and feel of our community, but we also have to realize that we need more density in our home, because that's the only, in our community, because that's the only way that you can get affordability. The big houses on big lots, it costs too much. So having smaller units closer together is unfortunately the way that you can make affordability.
And we have a new Passamaquoddy Lodge in the works too. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, that one is not moving as quick as I would like it to. We've been talking about a new Passamaquoddy Lodge for a few years now. Unless there's something that I don't know, I have no reason to believe that it is going to happen in the near future. And I know that that's a really bold statement. I know the committee's working very hard, but I have got no indication from the province of New Brunswick, and they have given me no indication, the independent board that's working on it, that they have support to go ahead. So they keep doing the check the boxes to try to get the support, but there's been no confirmation. So as much as I'd like to say that that's in the future, I honestly at this point can't say that I feel I'm any closer to seeing that a reality than I was a year ago.
Well, then I look forward to following that
Two
story in 2024. When you, Brad, honestly, once again, you win the title of most frequent guest on CHCO. And
2 years in a row?
I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. You are the reigning champ. If I had a crown or a trophy, I would give it to you. Probably more than 2 years in a row, but 2 years that I've been counting.
Can I just add 30 seconds? I hate to on that note. I got to honestly say, as a mayor and a member of council, the meta news block that is impacting CHCO is impacting my ability to be mayor. You have done such a great job of using social media and other tools of making me more transparent, me more accountable, and limiting CHCO's access to those platforms. I know you're doing a good job on your personal page, but it's such a missed opportunity for transparency so people know what their local and provincial and federal politicians are up to, and I hope that changes for you.
Well, thank you for saying that, and thank you for always taking the opportunity to come sit down and tell the audience at home and residents of St. Andrews especially everything that's happening in the community. I can't tell you how much it means to me as a journalist to have a mayor so willing to sit down and talk about what's going on. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
And we're almost out of time, Brad. Any last thoughts for 2023?
No, it's been just quite a year. Quite a year. I'm not going to say it's been a terrible year because there's been a lot of positives out of it, but it's been a year.
It's been to think that you and I are filming this right now, and the Red Cross is on the other side of this wall, helping people find a place to stay tonight. It has been nothing short of challenging, I will say that.
And not the first time they've been here to do that.
That's very true. Well, I hope you have a happy holiday with your family, and thank you for...
You and Patrick and Maud as well.
Thank you so much, and I'll see you again in January.
Sounds good.
My guest today has been the mayor of the town of St. Andrews, Brad Henderson. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Thank you for watching Your Town Matters, and Merry Christmas.